So, hi everyone, in this video we will see together how to install the NanoFrazor simulator software. First of all, a couple of words on why this may be useful for you. Well, if you are about to learn and use the NanoFrazor, and of course also the NanoFrazor software, you may want to get more familiar with the software, let's say before you're able to access the tool or before the installation is going to happen. So using the simulator allows you to understand how the software works and understand also how to import, for example, your designs and how these designs are visualized by the NanoFrazor software. If you already are a user, being able to use the NanoFrazor software simulator is still helpful because you may also have a better idea of how your designs are imported. So you may have the chance to maybe not going back and forth from the computer. It's maybe in a clean room. So this can make you save some time, or maybe you want to just have a view at software and what the software can do when you're not using the tool directly. Anyway, the most important thing to keep in mind is that when we use the NanoFrazor software simulator, we are using a simulator, so the data that we produce are not real. We're not using any cantilever with t-SPL to pattern, but it's just a computer generating data. So we may also be able to achieve things that are not achievable by the NanoFrazor in terms of resolution or in general design dimensions. So even if you import designs with 1 nanometer resolution on X and Y, the simulator will be able to print some data, but you have to please keep in mind that this data cannot be reproduced always by the NanoFrazor. So with that said, let's see together how to install the software in simulator mode. You will also find attached in the description the link for the NanoFrazor top version of 3.8.0 and the NanoFrazor drivers. Usually you just need to run the TOP version installer, and then you will be able to use the software simulator. In some cases it may be required to also run the drivers to install something that maybe is missing on your computer. So let's just double click on this icon and we will see the NanoFrazor install setup. We press next and we agree on the terms. In this case, it asks us if the NanoFrazor is connected to the computer and the software is closed. We know that the NanoFrazor is not connected to our computer, but that's fine. The install will work anyway. We press next, and now we start choosing the NanoFrazor type. I would recommend to choose the NanoFrazor Explorer so that you have full access to all the functionalities and tabs of the NanoFrazor software. And then what's important to do here is unselect the NanoFrazor device for a successful installation in simulator mode. So this is kind of the most important thing that you have to remember, and then everything is pretty much easy. We just have to press next and OK, then install. And now the software will tell us the NanoFrazor is already installed. Click OK to remove the previous version. We want to remove the previous version, so now it's going to uninstall the previous version. So what we will see now is that the computer will uninstall the previous NanoFrazor software, and then it will proceed installing the NanoFrazor software that we want to install. So for this specific Okay, so the installation process is finished. So we can just press finish here. And now we have our NanoFrazor icon here, which we can press to open our NanoFrazor software. So we get an error that the NanoFrazor is not connected. That's normal. Now we have our NanoFrazor software here that's installed, but we see that if we run some processes, we have some device issues and we don't see anything in the camera, even though we don't really have a sample or a cantilever. But anyway, even with the simulator, we're supposed to see something here. So if we open our quick guide, basically we see that for the installation of the software for simulator mode, we run the installer, deselecting the NanoFrazor device. Eventually we may have to run the drivers, but we have to do another thing. As soon as we have the software in simulator mode installed, we have to change the software configuration parameters in the ini file, and basically we have to put in the virtual device field true. So let's copy this into our computer. Basically in program files, we should be able to find okay, so you see that we have the NanoFrazor software here. Now we go to program files and we have to go into software configuration parameters. So we have opened this ini file. And then we go into the USB. And here we have virtual device, we put true. Then we save. And we have to restart the software. So we see now our NanoFrazor software simulator, which is started finally with the camera here. We can also run a fake t-SPL configuration, which will gather some fake IV curve and a approach and sample level plane data. Of course, these are just fake data because we are not using any tool. We can do the same with the laser. We can also check the optional laser tools, laser efficiency calibrator, and so on. And also import a geometry. And we can also see together that we can simulate a pattern. So let's say we can import this specific geometry. Let's maybe even put a depth of 150 nanometers. We import the design and then say right layout. We see that if we select the position of the tip, we also see that the warm-up is updated. There is also some rotation here. And then we press play and we see that the software will try to pattern our image. And as you can see here, we don't get a good pattern because, well, the parameters that we set are not so great. Of course, this is a sort of a simulation of what we may expect, but it's probably not what you will end up obtaining if you pattern on a real sample. The fundamental problem is that here I set a unrealistic depth, which is 150 nanometers. So this variation of depth cannot be easily achieved with the NanoFrazor because of the geometry limitations of the tip itself. So the software is already telling us, look, I'm a simulator, but probably your design is not so great, or you may have to change some stuff, especially if you use, let's say, standard PPA material. Now we can see if we reduce, for example, the depth, and we pattern again. We'll probably obtain a better result. We can also see that the topographies are actually stored in the warm-up, and now we can see that this other pattern probably a little bit better, still probably too deep. Let's see what happens if I import a more realistic one. I would say 35 maybe should be done. I'm not 100% sure what will be displayed because I don't use the simulator often, but we can see together. But I assume that the profile is going to look a little bit better, even though it doesn't seem to be the case. Yes, so I will say, as these data are not what we would obtain realistically with the NanoFrazor, but still this is not that important. The patterning results are not what's important. The important thing is that you understand how to use the simulator and the software. So I will say that for this video we can close it here. I hope this was helpful for you to understand how to install and run the NanoFrazor simulator version, and I hope that then you can keep on using this in your learning process, and in case you want to import some designs. Again, do not rely too much on this patterning data because these are just fake data or things that are kind of simulated but are far away from what the NanoFrazor will actually produce. So thanks for watching, and see you in the next videos.